Hello everyone, and welcome to this Motor Trade Radio Supplier Special with your hosts Philip Nothard and Curtis Hutchinson.
Hello and welcome to this Motor Trade Radio Supplier Special podcast. This episode is dedicated to ETT, the UK-based digital tech consultancy delivering automated customer interaction solutions to companies across different sectors in the UK and globally. A relatively new name to the automotive car retailing sector, we're joined today by CEO George McKenna and Adam Constantinides to hear how the business is using AI to transform incoming telephone customer interactions for dealers. So welcome to the podcast, George and Adam.
Morning, gentlemen. Thank you very much for having us. We've been very much looking forward to this podcast for sure.
Great. No, we have as well. To be fair, I think the way things are shifting at the minute in not just the broader industries, but obviously automotive and the car industry in specifically. So yeah, it's great to have you guys on. So I think so again, welcome both George and Adam. I mean, as I say, great to have you on today's podcast. And George, I mean, can we start with obviously a little bit of brief background on ETT and the sectors you work across at the minute?
Yeah, of course. And I'll just say that Adam said thanks for being here, but I'd just like to echo that. Actually, I've been excited and looking forward to having this conversation with you. So I really appreciate you having us on. Where did ETT start? So actually, ETT started it was a year ago, just over a year ago now. It was born out of the premise that technology should be leveraged to solve challenges and problems. And it's very easy for many organizations to look at technology and the actual investment required to attain, technological advancements within your organization can be expensive and costly. And when we think, specifically around the automotive industry, right, the value of the automotive industry is in people, right? It's in the people interactions. And over the last year, Adam coming on board, we've started to look at and really work with how technology can improve staff's interactions with customers, but then actually how customers interact with businesses. And actually it's broadened out, not just into motor industry, but actually into supply chain management, fleet management, and even customer service, restaurants. It's been a really, really interesting journey over this last year. And it's really been a culmination, I guess, of 20 years of experience in myself. I've worked in the tech industry across some pretty big giants, responsible, I guess, over $1 billion or so in sales revenue across many public and private sector organizations. So starting this journey with ETT has been extremely exciting. And leveraging AI in the way that we're going to talk about today is fundamentally a different view of what AI can actually mean for your business, and I'm really looking forward to exploring it with you. So,
and I mean, on that, I mean, you brought in that 20 years experience from that tech sector, and you've been operating for a year, and we're talking obviously to a predominantly automotive audience, and what has been your typical client? What have you, what areas, sectors have you been operating in to start off with before obviously considering and launching into the automotive sector?
Yeah, absolutely. So high finance. So interestingly, finance is probably one of the biggest consumers of technology, and purely really driven by regulatory compliance. The UK or, say the EU, for example, when it comes to regulatory compliance and red tape and financial services that really are intrinsically linked to, how most businesses operate. Compliance and protecting customer data, how you collect data, what you do with that data afterwards, today is really completely technology driven. And the finance sector is probably the leading space within that, and probably where we've worked the most. Interestingly, over the last 5 years, though, we've probably seen the biggest shift into agriculture. We work with 2 large farms who produce probably 40% of the UK's homegrown root vegetables between them. Massive operations. And their use of technology now is sensors in fields, drones for surveying, all the science labs that exist to just grow vegetables. It's probably that's where we've sat for the last 4 or 5 years. Moving into the automotive industry is really it stems from Adam's passion actually. And I'll probably, it might be worth Adam actually just telling about himself a little bit.
I mean, I'm gonna sort of say. I mean, obviously you brought Adam on, and you're thinking about that tech within the automotive or car retailing sector, and what are the sort of challenges and opportunities that you've sort of identified? And I don't know, George, if you want to answer that, or Adam, you've got a little bit more detail of, what are the areas that you think that this kind of technology and what you're involved with can help overcome some of the challenges and opportunities for car retailers?
I think for starters, I mean, it's been, I've always been a tech guy. I've been in the automotive industry for 20 years, starting up from, selling, Fords and BMWs and then right the way through to Jaguar Land Rover. And I've worked with a lot of premium brands, and more recently with Genesis UK, when they kind of launched in the UK. So, I've got a vast experience from sales to management, and, a really understanding of what the challenges are in the automotive industry has led me, it's a big passion of mine. I've invested 20 years of my life into it, and understanding what the challenges are, and now understanding how this technology and it can really is transforming other industries, and I think it's people that are listening to this will understand that there's the car industry is getting left behind in regards to technology, and that's something that I feel is a massive area we can make a massive dent in the market in, and we'll really be able to kind of take it to the next level in the car industry, and especially when it comes to customers and customer satisfaction. And I can give you a real prime example is you work at a very large, busy site. And I worked for Sitner Group for a while in High Wycombe. The call volume that they would get on a daily basis across all of the aspects of the business, whether it's from mini to the body shop to parts to service and to new and used vehicle sales. It's immense. And this the AI solution that we're looking at, and we're kind of putting on people's radars now is can negate kind of the missed call factor of it. Not missing an inquiry is a huge conversational piece, because as a management you've got as managers you've got huge targets to adhere to, and to hit, and internally and for the manufacturer, and you want to make sure you utilize every opportunity that if someone comes knocking on your door, you want to make sure you don't miss anything. And we've got a solution that can change the game. So yeah, very 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 and excited about kind of what we're bringing to the table for sure.
Now, as you've both outlined, AI is very much at the heart of your proposition. So we thought it'd be a good opportunity to listen to 2 clips from typical customer calls to your AI-generated assistants, both in the hospitality sector.
How can I help you today?
Hi there. Can I book a table for 1:30 this coming Sunday for 4 people?
Let me just have a look at what space we have. Okay. We have a table on the 24th of July at 1:30 p.m. for 4 people. Is that all okay for you?
Yeah, that's great.
Great. Shall I go ahead and book that in for you?
Please do.
Can I have your full name, please?
Yep, my full name is...
Can you spell your last name for me?
Sure thing. It's
Can we reach you on this number?
Yes, you can.
Perfect. I'm just waiting to see that go through, and that's done. Is there anything else that you need to let me know? Any allergies or other notes that I should make on your booking?
Yeah, someone in the group is celiac. Can you make a note of that, please?
We cater the dietary requirements, but all our food is prepared in the same kitchen. I'm just making a note on your booking now, but please remind someone from our team when you get here.
Yep, I can do that.
Is there anything else I can help you with?
I think that's everything. Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Salisbury. Good morning. I'm Polly. How can I help you today?
Oh, good morning. I'd like to book a table, if I can, on Saturday, coming up Saturday, for 2 people for lunch.
Okay. What time do you think you'll be here?
Would 12:30 be acceptable to you?
Okay, let me just have a look at what space we have.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a table on the 14th of September at 12:30 p.m. for 2 people. Shall I get that booked in for you?
Oh, please. Yes, that would be wonderful.
Great. Can I have your full name, please?
Teresa with an H, and the surname is...
Can we reach you on this number?
Yes, you certainly can.
Perfect. I'm just waiting to see that go through.
Oh, lovely.
And that's done. Is there anything else you need to let me know? Any allergies or any other
No,
notes I should make for your booking?
No, that's all. We'll see you on Saturday.
Enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye.
Thank you. And you. Bye.
So they were both really good illustrations of the technology that you're actually providing to other sectors and now the automotive sector. So, George, can you take us through some of the tech behind what we've just listened to and explain how it can help dealers to better manage their incoming customer communications?
Yeah, sure. I'd love to. I'm not going to get too technical, so I'm going to try and keep it as simple as possible. But what you heard was effectively, it's a natural language processing AI model with natural voice that's laid over the top.
Yeah.
Everybody hopefully listening, or even yourselves, have played around with ChatGPT, played around with Gemini or Facebook's or Meta's Llama. They are what you call LLMs, right? So they're natural language models, but require text input. Now, what this solution sits on is a proprietary version of effectively an LLM. An LLM is a predictive, it's a predictive language model that sucks up as much information as possible. And for every installation, there is effectively a big discovery phase that we spend time on to basically absorb and create a big data repository of your business. Now, that could be documentation. It could be we could create new documents. Could be brochures. Could be anything and everything that we can get our hands on, and then we create basically a structured database that the AI will then read and digest and ground itself upon. The difference here, though, and this is actually a very big fundamental difference, is that it's an LLM that sits underneath this. It isn't a voice or a text-to-speech voice service that sits on top of an FAQ, which is probably about 80% of the market today that have deployed some type of voice assistance. And most businesses that are creating this type of technology, really everyone is taught to a web bot, right? They're on a website and they'll go and type in and you'll get some candid responses. Most AI voice chats that you speak to are based on that technology as a simple evolution of that, or a type 2 innovation of that.
Yeah.
This platform itself was completely built by the ground up. The original engineers of this technology are actually the original engineering team from Apple's Siri. They've been going since 2015, and it's taken a lot of time and obviously a lot of investment to really try and get that natural conversation point in place. And the difference here is because it's powered by an AI agent that has a lot of robotic process in the back end of it. We're actually able to interact and integrate with existing systems. So if like you heard on the call, a booking system for tables, or a booking system, in the automotive industry, like a service bookings, appointment booking systems, anything, any type of computer or digitalized system we can interact with, and then our system can correlate a conversation into an actual system input, basically. And it can all be done, relatively through the proper design and development in a space of 6 to 8 weeks.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, George, because you mentioned the application for service departments. So, what for the benefit of listeners, what would that actually entail? So, a dealership, a dealer group is interested in introducing this into their after sales. How, what sort of process does that actually entail?
Yeah, absolutely. So, actually, the process is relatively simple, and we're a turnkey solution provider. So, what that really means is we do all the heavy lifting, right? You want to focus on your business, you want to focus on your customers, and you want to focus on your customer experiences. We come in and effectively understand. We will do a discovery across the applications you're using or the systems you're using, and then we will look at the integration points. Most applications today will have some type of API integration, and then we will build those API integrations between the AI agent and then your systems themselves. So it's just a clean integration, really, and then it's fully documented. And we can do that. Yeah, multiple. One call, you could probably interact with as many different systems as required, and as many as you need, really. But yeah, the process doesn't take that long at all.
And I mean, Adam, obviously, George talking through that in terms of the use of AI and highlighting obviously how it played out in those 2 clips. I mean, the first clip, really, personalization around that sort of dietary requirement question, and even the second clip where the caller, there was that natural conversation and overlapping of conversation between I said we'll reference it as AI, but the AI and the caller. And I mean, obviously George mentioned there briefly around its potential in the, we talked earlier about motor retailing and the retailers and dealers coming from your background. I presume that's where you see this as a real game changer, back to what you said earlier about those efficiencies of those bookings, the service bookings, the out of hour conversations.
Absolutely.
That actually it brings that AI into a more of a natural environment.
It does. I mean, you can you could go onto any dealer group now and use their kind of but we're probably all used to the kind of online simple bot chat by inputting via keyboard, where now this kind of solution changes the game, where you can have a 24-hour phone system live that will be able to have a conversation with one of our AI solution bots. Let's say, for example, it's on a used car. You've got a customer that's made, for example, selling cars for a long time. You speak to doctors, and doctors, you can't speak to them when they're in the theatre, and they can only speak at certain times. And if they're very keen in a very short time, but obviously they are high net worth individuals that can spend money, for example, on a premium product, they can only speak to someone that's yourselves as gone home at 6 o'clock, but they can speak at 9 o'clock, for example. They could have a fully fledged conversation on a used car with all the data that's in a holding pool effectively. So all your used car stock, all your data should be in there, for example. And let's say they make an inquiry on a 530, and they want to know the history behind it. They want to know the exact specifications. They would like to know the difference between the 2023 model to 2025 model. That bot will be able to articulate and understand the questions that's been given to them, and being able to kind of give that information back to the customer in a nice, clean, precise way that they want, without having to wait to the following morning, or they might miss out on the opportunity to buy that car, for example. Or there's so many possibilities that we can kind of tailor make to dealers, and this is the big difference, where it's changing the game. And this is what I'm passionate about, because there's always been those months where you've missed out on a deal or two, and that would have got you over the line.
Yeah. Or as a buyer, you've missed out on,
or you missed out on that car. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, there's as a consumer, there's many times that you've not necessarily buying a car, but you sent an inquiry in, you're waiting for
Yep.
some more further detail,
Yep.
but you don't get it.
Correct.
And by the time you get it, you find that the product that you were looking at buying has been sold because somebody hasn't inquired, or they're not quite, they don't need that information that you're asking her for.
Correct.
And you've missed out because somebody's pressed the button, they've reserved it, and that's it. So I think you're right.
I just want to add as well, this is by no means, I know this is people thinking, this is going to replace, sales executives, or this is going to replace my salesman, but we're not, this is not for that. This is to add to, what you guys are doing already, all the good work, and a lot of dealer groups are doing good work, and some independent garages and family run businesses that are still around are doing, fantastic work. But this is to add to that, and this is making you more efficient and more profitable, by you selling more cars and being able to service your customers with 100%, call rate. This is the difference that no one's been able to achieve as humans, because we know we have sick days and people go on holiday, and like I said, no one works 24 hours of a day. So this is it's an absolute game changer for sure.
We'll be back with more from George and Adam on how ETT is working with dealers after this short break.
You're listening to a Motor Trade Radio Supplier Special.
Welcome back, and George. I mean, obviously earlier you were outlining the tech and the difference in tech in the platform that you offer. Can you? I mean, we touched on there just before the break in terms of the potential opportunities within that motor retail sector. But just thinking about the AI in the broader sense within dealers more broadly, how do you think dealers should be embracing and using AI to help their efficiency, to help, as Adam touched on, that profitability and productivity, without necessarily worrying about replacing what they have today?
Oh, what a great question. So leveraging technology like AI is really about how do we ensure a consistent customer experience and brand presence, while also empowering our people, our staff, to have stronger, higher impactful conversations with customers. Polly, right, I always call it Polly, but the AI agents themselves, we're able to, we're able to personalize a customer experience to the point where, you've got customers who, they ring up and they're like, all they would like is a brochure. Okay, so the agent will ask, okay, we'll have your name, can I have an email address, and they send the brochure out. If that customer was to ring up again, the AI will, because it was recorded, will be able to go, hi Jane, thanks for calling again. Did you receive the brochure? Did you have any further questions? And that's instantaneous, right? That's without ever speaking to someone, but their previous experience was then brought into this next phone call. And the same, and then you can go, you can take it further. Would you like to book a service, all that type of stuff? And then we can, you can even move it even further from a post-sales perspective. You ring up for a services booking. The AI agent will go, hi Dave, you bought your. Thanks for calling. Thanks for calling in. Did you want to speak to the sales representative you bought your car from, or are you calling about your service booking that's in the next 4 weeks? Right. There's all this personalization that can happen at such a rate and speed because of access to data that actually, from a human's perspective, we're going to pick up the phone, and I pretty much guarantee in most of the dealerships, pick up the phone and go, hi, thanks for calling. How can I help you today? Which is a very different paradigm from a customer's perspective. Now, what we're able to do is move the human interaction point away from those, let's just say those small repeatable tasks into actually how do we drive a better human experience when a customer comes onto the dealership floor? How do we ensure that we're encapsulating how many times they've called us or how many times different brochures they've received? And this is all the type of stuff that the AI system will be able to write back into the CRM system to provide the actual salesperson on the shop floor with more information and intelligence of how many interactions this customer's had with you before coming on site. And what's interesting about that is the trend in consumers' buying behaviours. Consumers' buying behaviours is we research probably 90% of our sales mind cycle. We'll do most of the research before ever going into a shop or going and talking to someone. And that's just because the age of the internet, watching videos on YouTube, online, all of those type of things. And we sort of come into, big buyers will come into a store with a preconception of what they actually want. And the challenge for a salesperson, today's is actually, well, I don't know what research they've done. I don't know how many times they have called us. Did they receive brochures and so forth? So, this type of system can actually help and provide more customer intelligence to the salesperson on the floor. And there's also other aspects that you can use the AI for from a salesperson's perspective is, because we can digest so much data, we can digest, if you're selling BMW, you can go and actually digest a load of Mercedes brochures. And then we can use the AI to then provide differentiation information based on customer requirements, stuff like that. So the salespeople can use it as a tool prior to even coming and actually interacting with customers. There's so many different types of use cases that can be deployed, so that when humans talk to humans, we're having stronger, more impactful, detailed conversations, which is really what we're trying to achieve.
And Adam, following on from that, I mean, you're very much steeped in the sector, as you say.
Mm-hmm.
You've spent 20 years or more in the sector. What sort of feedback are you getting from the dealer principals, the dealer groups, and even the OEMs that you're talking to and that are using your tech? What feedback are you getting?
I'll be honest with you, we're having multiple conversations with direct manufacturers and dealer groups, and and even independent dealers as well. And the feedback we're getting is one is probably a bit of an eyebrow raiser, to be honest with you, when we really do break down what this solution can do and how it can change businesses. And I think what's interesting is it's firstly the conversation piece is this is, like we said before in the early part of the podcast, is going to change and elevate dealers and the merchant industry to the next level. And I think that's a strong statement to say, because you've got some dealer groups that are still using the CRM system they have done for 15 years. And this is where, like George touched on as well, is investing into the business and into tech, and it really kind of taking people to the next level. And then as we know, is return on investment and your bottom line at the end of the year. And this is where it's going to make a massive difference. And it's they're really interested to kind of see and to hear and actually see something quite tangible as well. We've had feedback on, and we've come to the table with like the recordings, for example, and giving them some use cases of businesses and international businesses that are using the solution and are really blown away by what it can do, because there is no kind of no ceiling with it, really, because someone could ring up and not wasting time. It's not a case of that. Like George said, it's a brochure. As a sales manager, I'd come into the morning and see what inquiries have come through the night, and you've got 5 brochure requests. But as part of the process, as a manufacturer, for example, with BMW, you'd have to give them a follow-up call, and you think to yourself, okay, is it sales? And unfortunately, a sales executive's default mindset is, do I have to waste my time of calling someone up for a brochure when I could be calling up my customer who's interested in buying that 7 Series in the showroom? This is where the efficiency comes into it, gentlemen. This is what we're trying to break it down for you on a very simple basis, where you're going to make your sales team more efficient and be able to use the time more effectively to win business. And where those customers that may early inquiries where they require a brochure, or you've got the service department that someone's hanging on the phone for half an hour, and they just want to order some windscreen wipers and say, can I come in and have some windscreen wipers fitted to my car, where an AI bot will be able to handle that, be able to even transact that purchase for a customer for the windscreen wipers, and then they just got to come in and say, I'd like to pop in this afternoon. They could get that customer booked in. They would have purchased the windscreen wipers with the AI agent, and then it's your whole the telephony team and the reception team that you might have within the business is freed them up to handle more other calls as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, definitely. And following on from that, and final question, probably one for you, George. What advice would you give to listeners about introducing this sort of tech into their businesses? What do they need to be thinking about?
Oh, what a great question. To be honest, data.
Yeah.
Everything really revolves completely around data and how data is handled within the business. And the best thing, from our perspective, working with, even with farms, right, who are generally, farm owners are generally not technologists in any way, shape, or form, is actually the realization of the benefits to be able to reinvest time back into people, right? So, and spend more time on understanding data. Data really is the next is and will be for a long time the next gold rush. And the information that you have in your business, whether it's on spreadsheets, whether it's in emails, whether it's in just a thumbstick somewhere in your drawer that you wanted to keep, will have data on it that will be valuable to you as a business. The key with deploying any type of AI or any type of customer interactive system that has some level of autonomy is really about understanding your data. So, even if this has sparked an interest into, okay, well, let's explore how AI can actually work. It's really easy to get excited over the voice part, right? It's really easy to get over that interaction piece.
That's the tangible part,
that's the
isn't it?
tangible part, yeah. And actually, but really, what you really is you need a good partner that understands how to consolidate and pull together all the data that's in your business and make it relevant to you operationally, so that it can be used to actually used to drive more revenues and even lower operational costs, and drive more profitability and analytics. So what your cars, what your customers' buying cycles look like, even what your customer's next car could be, right? Based on how many times or how many cars they've bought from you previously, what characteristics, all that type of stuff, we're able to pull through from data. And it doesn't matter what from source, it's just the amount of data that you want to get hold of.
And I mean, what a fantastic conversation. I think, you both, thanks both George and Adam for coming on. I think getting back to that point of that efficiency, the retailers shouldn't be concerned about replacing jobs. This is about making them more efficient, more profitable, focusing the resource that they have on areas of importance. And I think, Adam, you touched on it, that walking in on a Monday morning after the Sunday closure that a lot of them are now doing.
Yep.
You've got the inquiries for a service booking, or you've got the inquiries for a brochure, or just additional information that, let's call it Polly, because we keep talking about AI and bot, don't we? So we'll go with your reference, George, and we'll say Polly. That Polly can take that away. It can answer those very simple questions, inquiries, conversations, and that kind of thing that does take a lot away from sometimes people in the more important jobs of, you say, that a customer's inquiry on a new car that they want to buy or pick up, or there's a problem, something. So, and I think, and George, you just finished it there at the end there, thinking about the data, the analytics, what you can learn about the behaviours of customers, that is all being captured, stored, analysed, and fed back to the retailer to help them obviously engage with their customers. I think it's a fantastic opportunity for the retailers should be really embracing this kind of tech.
For sure.
And just finally, obviously, we're obviously expecting to see a lot more from you guys in the future, and hopefully, that you'll some of the further conversations down the line of those retailers, those dealers, those manufacturers, whether that's franchise dealers, independent supermarkets that are engaging with you. And it's fascinating insight from obviously from yourselves in terms of ETT is helping that automotive sector and customer interactions. If they're interested in learning more about what you do, what you offer, what's the best way of them getting in touch with you both and
Sure.
opening this conversation a little bit more further detail?
Yeah, sure. So, actually, as for your listeners, if we get any inquiries from anyone that's come from listening to this podcast, we'd like to offer a free 4-hour engagement workshop to look at discovery of data within the business, so we can actually build a roadmap. So that's for anyone who is listening. If you're listening from this route, and if you can reference the podcast when you do contact us, I'll give you the details in a second. We'll do a free 4-hour workshop with you as a thank you, for one, for listening to the podcast, but two, for looking at this new technology as well. Best way to get through to us is if you go to our website, which is emergingtt.com. We have contact forms, even some informational stuff on there, and it covers off even some customer case studies as well. It's just in the contact form. If you just put the Motor Trade Radio in the contact in there, and we'll know exactly, or we'll contact you back.
Well, thank you both, George and Adam, for coming on the podcast. I mean, it's been a fascinating insight into how AI is changing the way that we all work, and specifically in the automotive sector. So, as I say, thanks for coming on the podcast.
It's been wonderful being here. Really appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, gentlemen. I really appreciate the opportunity, and we look forward to changing the game for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So many thanks once again to George and Adam, and thank you to you for listening to this Motor Trade Radio Supplier Special with ETT.
Thank you for listening to this Motor Trade Radio Supplier Special, presented by Philip Nothard and Curtis Hutchinson.